Many people are concerned with what has been described as a weaponization or politicization of the Department of Justice. In your experience, in other places in the world where their own prosecutorial agencies have been so weaponized or politicized, ultimately, what is the result of that in those countries?
Yes, this is a really important question because I've seen in a number of countries really the capture of a prosecution system, making it become instrumentalized to go after opposition figures or pro-democracy figures. It depends on whatever the issue might be. And let me just give you one example because I think it's a very helpful one for us. The example is Guatemala. In Guatemala, there had been some specialized prosecutors who had worked very hard to go after corruption crimes and also grave human rights crimes that had occurred during the armed conflict there. However, there was essentially a backlash, and the prosecutor who was put in power a number of years ago started to systematically go after the prosecutors who had prosecuted corruption and human rights crimes. And many of those individual prosecutors are now either facing criminal trial, some of them are in jail, or many of them had had to flee abroad. There are quite a few of them here in the United States who've had to seek asylum, actually. Now, that is not only an attack on the system itself, but it also then leaves regular crime kind of in the dust. If you look at the indicators and the statistics coming out of that system, what you see is that regular crimes have not been prosecuted properly. The institutional measures are really poor. Because so much time has been spent going after particular individuals and trying to really criminalize and put them into a criminal prosecution. It's a very severe kind of reshaping of the system that should be protecting security into a tool for politicization.
What do you say to people who maybe won't explicitly say, but we all kind of inherently feel that what has happened in places like Guatemala or autocracies in former Soviet bloc countries, that just can't happen here in America? What do you say to that?
So I think it's very important that we understand that part of the reason people have had this kind of exceptional view of the United States is that we have had a very strong constitutional system and also a culture of the rule of law. But what I think we forget then is that we are just any other country in the sense that we're made up of people, and people have to have a commitment to this system and these really important ideals day after day after day, and that can break down. And so what I think I've learned from other countries is that even systems that have been very strong in the past can be taken apart bit by bit. And what I think we have to learn, in particular from a number of countries that have gone through democratic backsliding, is that when certain leaders get into power and are able to really channel the public's distrust of a system that maybe hasn't served them as well as it could have, or they don't understand, or they have concerns about, that kind of attitude can really allow permission to those leaders to start to take steps. And those steps can be both cultural steps, such as attacking the rule of law, attacking judges, or attacking certain prosecutors, publicly denigrating them. But then it's also putting into place laws and rules that dismantle the system we've had. So in the US, a lot of our norms have been really understandings that we have built up over time that aren't always codified in legislation. So I think the independence of the DOJ is a bit of an example here. Some of its independence is codified and it's clearly set out in law, but some of it is simply a tradition and a practice of ensuring that there isn't attempts to utilize the prosecution power politically. And when that starts to fall away, things become possible that we would not have imagined being possible here before.